So a new report coming from the British Broadcasting Corporation says that Mali has announced the US that, okay, let me start again. A new report coming from the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC News, says Mali has announced that US nationals visiting the West African country will be required to post a bond of up to $10,000 for business and tourist visas in response to a similar requirement the Trump administration has imposed on its citizens. So, for those of you who don't know, be getting into the details of this. Trump's administration is tightening its grip on immigration policies. Okay, so for African countries like Ghana, Uganda, Nigeria, and co, they are saying that these African countries, before you even, Ghana's own have been lifted, by the way, so we are cool because we had an agreement to take deportees from the US. But in these countries who have refused to take deportees from the US have ratcheted up its pressure on them by saying that, hey, in as much as we've closed down your embassy, our embassy in your country, and aside from the fact that we are also saying that we are not going to grant you access to 5-year multiple entry visas into the United States, this time around it's 3 months, we are also going to require your citizens who want to visit the United States of America to post a bond of up to $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000. Now, a bond is basically you putting money down before an agreement is made, so that if you kind of forfeit on those arguments or those agreements that you've had with another party, that bond, which usually is money, assets, land, in most cases money, will be taken. So if, let's say, I'm a Ugandan citizen and the United States of America have said they've closed down the embassy, regardless if I want to get a visa from Uganda, they are not going to grant me 5-year visa. They're not going to grant me 5-year multiple entry visa, which when they give me that 5-year multiple entry visa, I can go to the US anytime and come back within that 5-year period of that 5-year window. But then when they've cancelled that, so which means I'm only allowed into the US 3 months. So when I exceed my stay in the US for over 90 days, I have to come back and renew, which is a bit hectic, because considering the fact you have to board the plane, go and come, the cost and all of that. And for students and those who are working in the United States of America, it's a bit hectic. So apart from all of these things that the Trump administration have put in place, they are saying that they are also going to require me, in this instance, a Ugandan citizen who wants to go to the United States of America, to post a bond of $20,000 before they give me the visa, the 3 months visa to the United States of America. So if I go to the US and I don't come back, the United States Embassy can take the money and then give it to their governments. And $20,000 is no joke. That's like someone's 5-year or 10-year salary in the country, in Ghana. Now, Mali was one of those countries which was basically hit with this particular directive from the Trump administration. So what did the Mali what did the Mali president do? For those of you who don't know, Mali's president, okay, currently the name of Mali's president now, the name of Mali's president now is Mali Jaman Kutigi. Forgive me if I don't get the name right. But the president of the Republic of Mali is what? His name is Mali. Okay, Jaman Kuntingi. So Mali Jaman Kutingi. He is the current president of the Republic of Mali. Okay, so he came to power. I think he's been in power for almost. He's been in power. Okay, for almost, I'm trying to check up the years here, but he's been in power since 2021. Okay, so he's been in power since 2021. Now, this report that came in that the US is trying to sanction and block a whole lot of things, Mali from going to the US, citizens have to post a bond, and Mali says no problem. If the US wants to bring this, we are also going to do it in return. So Mali is also saying that they require any American citizen who want to visit the USA to post a bond of $10,000. $10,000 before they will be required to visit their country. Now, people are saying that this is basically like a payback to President Donald Trump's policy imposing tariffs on this particular African country, Mali, imposing travel ban on Mali because according to them, Mali basically does not follow their rules, and then some of their citizens have overstayed in their country. You know, all of these kind of rhetoric that the US kind of parades around. So they impose this kind of bond. And Mali too is saying that, you know, you are not the only person who can impose a bond. We can also do some, because no law on earth prohibits someone from imposing a bond on another national who wants to visit the country. So let's take this, because I want to visit the website itself and I want to look at extensively what Mali is saying, or the reason they are giving for this whole travel restriction. So straight up, let's head to this. I think we have it on the screens. Just a second, we'll put it on the screens. It says here, Mali imposes $10,000 visa bond on US visitors in a tit-for-tat move. So Mali is saying that we didn't start this whole fight. US started it and we can finish it, because trust me, US basically doesn't have a lot of tourist sites. Is it the New York City? What at all does the US have? But people want to come to Mali to visit our natural habitat, our zoos, our forest reserves, our mountains, our streams, our oceans. Mali has a lot of these things, and some of American citizens choose Mali as a tourist destination. And some of them come and they refuse to leave. So if the US have imposed a $10,000 fine on us, we will just reciprocate. If it goes on to read here, or to say here, Mali has announced that the US nationals visiting the West African country will be required to post a bond of up to $10,000, that's 7,500 euros, for business and tourist visas, in response to a similar requirement the Trump administration has imposed on its citizens. The US Embassy in Mali said on Friday the fee had been introduced to reinforce Washington's commitment to protecting Americans' border and safeguarding US national security. That's the US Embassy in Mali. Mali's foreign ministry said on Sunday the bond had been imposed unilaterally, and it had decided to establish an identical visa program for US citizens. The visa policy shift comes despite moves to improve diplomatic relations between the two countries. So the US Embassy in Mali was saying that they also required a $10,000 bond for Malians who wanted to visit the United States of America, because they wanted to tackle the issue of overstay and immigration and abuse of the US immigration laws that most Africans have been abusing. They go there, they stay, they don't want to come back. And Mali said, okay, fine. We also have some Americans who basically come into this country and they don't want to leave. So we are also slapping what? A visa ban or a bond on American tourists and visitors who want to come to Mali. So they've also reciprocated the same move by saying that any US tourist, any US visitor who wants to visit Mali has to post a bond of $10,000 before he or she is granted entry to the country. Now, it doesn't end there, because some are seeing this as an escalation of what? Of tensions between the two countries. The US slapped the country Mali with a bond. Mali have retaliated. So clearly you could see that there's a lot of things here, or there's a lot of tensions here. Now let's go to the last part here. It says in July, okay, on the screens, it says in July, US officials visited Mali to discuss counter-terrorism cooperation and economic partnership, including potential access to Mali's gold and lithium reserves. So this whole bad blood between the US and Mali, it comes from a place of failed negotiations, or the US failing, or the US failure to tap into the reserves of Mali. So you could see that the hatred is born from somewhere. So it says in July, US officials visited Mali to discuss counter-terrorism cooperation and economic partnerships, including potential access to Mali's gold and lithium reserves. So Mali has gold, Mali has lithium, and these gold is important for US to shore up its reserves, its gold reserves. And the lithium is also important for US to be independent on its own, or so that US will not be dependent on China, on countries like, or its rival countries like China for lithium. Lithium is used for car batteries, used for the batteries in our phones, for the batteries in fighter jets that the US uses a lot in batteries for B-2 bombers, which the US used to destroy the Iran nuclear facilities. So they need this. So they visited Mali to get access to these potential mineral reserves. So listen to this. Relations deteriorated after a coup in Mali in 2021 that led to General Assimi Goïta sweeping to power. So initially, these talks were ongoing backdoor before coup d'etat happened, and also a new president, a coup d'etat happened, which led General Assimi Goïta to power. So after the coup leader came to power, everything basically kind of stalled. He provided the West African state towards Russian. He pivoted the West African state towards Russia in a bid to stem a growing insurgency by jihadists. So when this particular General Assimi Goïta, came to power, what he did was he pivoted the country more to Russia. You know, Russia is also one of the rivals of the United States of America, the former Soviet Union. So he pivoted the country more to Russia. Because according to Mali's General Assimi Goïta, who happened to be a military ruler who came to power, he said that there's a growing insurgency by jihadists in his country, and he wants Russia to help fight these kind of insurgents. Okay, so please forgive me for those of you. Initially, I said that I mentioned Mali's president name, but then now it's being ruled by a military ruler. So I think and his name is General Assimi Goïta. Again, he said he expelled French troops and brought mercenaries from Russia's Wagner Group, which is under Moscow's defense ministry. They have since been replaced by Africa Corps. Last week, Burkina Faso's military government refused to take in deportees from the US as Washington suspended issuing visitors in the West African nation. So basically, because the new military ruler in Mali has now grown towards or fond of the Russian government, the US is kind of saying, we wanted your lithium, we wanted your gold, you are not giving us, and now you've pivoted to Russia. We don't like that. And aside from that too, what they are saying is that initially the agreement that they had with Russia was to let some of their troops, which is the Wagner forces, come to Mali to fight these jihadist insurgents. But then ultimately they've been replaced. The Russia Wagner mercenaries have been replaced with a new group called the African Corps. So it further goes on to say that Trump is having his issues with African countries because they are basically refusing to take immigrants. And basically the relationship with these African countries has turned from bad to worse under the Trump administration. So this is just one of those things which is really going on, and definitely it is something that a lot of people are talking about right here in our African space. So that is it. That is one of the things that is really going on. So let us know what you think in the comment section. I would definitely like to get your opinion basically on most of the things we've discussed today. We would like to get your opinion on this before we move on to our